instinct to sort of set these people that you first initially meet like into different groups, but then like I kind of want to break away from that habit and like try to understand and try to get to know different people that I may not have ever talked to before.
Cultural proficiency.
Cultural proficiency.
Cultural proficiency is really about embracing and understanding diversity in all its forms. We often think of diversity as just race and ethnicity, but there's so much more. We've been in this workshop this year talking about how Hammond has its own culture, and it's a wonderful culture that's loving of diversity, and this workshop just enhances that. But we also delve into other things. It could be there's diversity within grades, even what grade you're in. There's a culture for 9th grade, a culture for 10th grade. There's a culture within each class. And then, of course, as we walk out the doors of Hammond into society, there's a greater culture. There's the the culture of the United States, but there's the culture of Maryland. There's the culture of Columbia. And it's just a group that you belong with and identify with. And the point of the workshop is really crossing those lines where there are different bubbles of culture and realizing that all these people are human. We all share something in common.
One thing that really stood out was this activity where we stood on a line and there were a series of statements that were said, and then if you identified personally with that statement, and it would be like something, some of them would be personal, some of them would be like something about does your family suffer through like poverty, or like does your family do you have a single parent, or something like that. And then some of the questions were like, did you go to overnight camp when you were a child? So like that kind of like gives you a perspective of like how different people can find similarities, and like feeling like part of a minority versus a majority, because like some people would like step forward and like you would be like, I never noticed that this could be a situation for this sort of person.
Just from a school being diverse, that don't mean it defines that meaning, So we try to understand everybody's perspective and from where they're coming from, different countries and different homes and all of that, and different learning techniques, because it is kind of strange and unique in a different way.
Well, teachers or people saying I don't see color, that is just it's wrong. It's not that you can't see color, it's a thing that you can't judge based on color. And so we talk more about situations that come up with our culture and things like that. For example, culture is not where you're from, but where you're from plays part of your culture. And we kind of learn more about what that means and how we can help that be a widespread thing.
Amazing experience for me. It has given me an opportunity to not only connect with students, but also connect with staff members that I usually don't get to connect with throughout the building. It has definitely opened me up to, the perspective and the idea of other people's cultures and diversity and things of that nature. The connections that I've made here through this process has been remarkable.
Everyone has a culture, but the culture that you create in the classrooms as well, the culture that you bring from home. Outside what we think of culture that we associate with ethnicity, seeing that concept and developing more of that, also seeing who might be left out. Difficult to include everyone, but the idea is at least to have an open mind and perception that culture is not just ethnicity, breaking away from that and trying to include as many people as possible.
This is supported by the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the central office, who runs this professional development for teachers, but we've tweaked it and changed it a little bit so it moves to just the Hammond community. And what's also very special about this workshop, beyond it being just for the Hammond students, staff, and parents, it's also something where at the end of this, we start looking at action. We ask for students to lift up their voices and tell us what they want to do, what actions they want to do to enhance the culture of Hammond, to enhance cultural efficiency and communications and relationships in general. So, and they've all been really great at this. In past years, we've had students work towards having a gender-neutral bathroom. We've had students start lunch groups where they start conversations of their own. And I can't wait to see what this year's group chooses to do, and every year we do a little bit something different, and it's all about lifting up those student voices.